Good afternoon, good afternoon again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do the usual disclaimers, if you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 800, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, folks, ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused, so you know the drill. Please read the article and share on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC ever does actually see through with their threat. Trigger warning 1. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please make sure to use your headphones. Trigger warning 2. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and we do speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised. Now, excuse me, folks, allergies, because allergy season no longer goes away. Yay! So, where we left off. Some congenital and genetic disorders are also associated with SIB and AB symptoms. This is true. Advancements in understanding genetic and prenatal exposure related causes for intellectual and developmental disabilities have improved diagnosis and management of these conditions, for example, through genetic testing. There was a lot of that. They've been searching for a cure when it comes to autism my entire life. The only thing I know from the actual real science is, folks, it is genetic. All right? That being said, there are other neurodevelopmental disabilities that can often get mistaken as one another. And because there are some prominently well known traits of autism, many doctors may call it that when it might actually be a mental health issue. There's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of comorbid conditions. There's a lot of things that go into diagnosing developmental disabilities. And always keep your eye open because, like I always say, not everything is the tisms. Okay? This is important because some genetic disorders have treatments, some of which are pharmacological, that can improve the underlying condition and may also improve associated behavioral problems such as SIB or AB. I'm going to use myself as an example. Why I've been running around town like a chicken with my head cut off? I noticed as I've been getting older, I've always had the anxiety that comes with being autistic. That was never a gigantic issue with me. I've been able to power through a good majority of things the majority of my life. But the anxiety was getting so bad that I was getting utterly crippled by it. Like, it was an extreme force of will to force myself to continue to do my job and having near panic attacks right before every single coaching. Like, it was taking over my life. That anxiety and how crippling it was triggered trademark autistic behaviors coming out of me on a semi-regular basis. And I can tell you point blank, I was staring down headlong either into the abyss of autistic burnout or the mother of autistic meltdowns. But it was getting close to the straw that broke the camel's back. So, though it's been a pain to do all of this to get the reasonable accommodation papers, it also provided a change in medication, and they put me on, I think we've even mentioned it on here, Paxil, to deal not with the tism, but to specifically address the overriding anxiety. I've been on this medicine about a day now. I won't say everything is 100% better because, folks, that's just not how medication works. But there is a improvement. There's clarity of thought. There's the ability of the anxiety to not overwhelm as it has been doing. Now, that pill is not treating my autism specifically. However, the impact of that pill has allowed me to get back clarity of thought and purpose so that the quote unquote symptoms, the behaviors that were coming out of me that were being triggered by the anxiety, has been brought down to that wonderful baseline again so that I'm able to function. Now let's go with their example. For example, psychiatric and behavioral symptoms associated with phenylketonuria can improve with diet or medications such as Aversives, which is received FDA approval for the treatment of PKU in 2018. The most common adverse reactions occurring in at least 15% of patients taking pergolaceline were injection site reactions, aphagia, hypersensitivity reactions, headache, pruritus, nausea, and dizziness. Most of these drugs have side effects. We know that. More often than not, though, when they are specifically targeting something that is the underlying issue that is provoking the not so fun side of your diagnosis and attacking them directly, wouldn't you know, miraculously, as it begins to work in your life, a lot of those behaviors that were getting triggered by that underlying condition start coming down by a lot. You know what I mean? So, you can't, as doctors, as the medical model, just say that everything is the autism. If you actually do your work correctly and you cater the treatment program and everything around the patient, which means a full treatment plan that acknowledges not just the autism, but any other underlying conditions that you may have that may trigger those types of behaviors, that's when you see those steady success rates, right? That just makes sense. Because the underlying issue that is causing the behavior is no longer going unaddressed. I have noticed that a lot of folks have this tendency, doctors too, the older they are, the more likely it is, attributes everything to autism. And then you wonder why things like ABA isn't working. Like, my daughter can't even mask. It's because although the behavior might be the autism is having me act out in a certain way, it may not be the autism that's causing the behavior, Karen. There may be an underlying condition that's going undealt with, because a lot of people within the medical model still believe that ABA bullshit, that all these behaviors is because we're trying to manipulate something, get something that we want, or get attention, or we think it's going to win us friends. Also known as me wanting to grab a megaphone and screaming at them, just how stupid do you think we are? I am well aware of the fact that when I was a kid, getting up and throwing one of those old early 90s, late 80s lead seat desk combos into the wall was not going to win me popularity. But again, if you have an underlying issue, it can and will trigger your other diagnoses. Until it is dealt with properly, it's probably going to get worse, not better. Now imagine you're in ABA and they just say that everything's because of the TISM and the JRC think similarly. And instead of actually going back to the drawing board and say, maybe something else is triggering this, y'all double down on the stupid and then wonder why the numbers don't work. Yeah, I'm just saying. We're going to go ahead and close out on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. You know the drill, folks. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and please don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time this afternoon. As always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see y'all for the last video in a few minutes. Bye-bye, everyone.